Power is not what they taught you in school. It is not about being the loudest voice in the room or the most aggressive presence at the table. True power is invisible, calculated, and devastating in its precision. It moves through social situations like water through cracks, finding the weakest points and exploiting them without anyone realizing what has happened until it is far too late. Most people stumble through social interactions like blind men in a maze, hoping their good intentions and honest hearts will somehow protect them from those who see the world as a chessboard. They believe that fairness exists, that people will reciprocate kindness, that social situations are governed by some unspoken code of mutual respect. This naive thinking is exactly what predators rely on to maintain their advantage. But you are different. You understand that every social interaction is a battlefield where influence is won and lost, where hierarchies are established and maintained, where the weak surrender their power to those who know how to take it. You recognize that behind every smile lies calculation, behind every conversation lies agenda, and behind every social gathering lies an invisible war for dominance that most people do not even know they are fighting. Today, I will reveal to you 7 cold laws that will transform you from a participant in social situations into their master. These are not the gentle suggestions of self-help books or the wishful thinking of those who believe the world runs on kindness. These are the harsh realities that Machiavelli himself would recognize, the psychological weapons that separate the rulers from the ruled, the predators from the prey. The first law strikes at the heart of human nature itself. Most people cannot resist the urge to fill silence with words, to explain themselves, to justify their positions, to prove their worth through endless chatter. They mistake volume for authority and believe that whoever speaks the most must be the most important person in the room. This is their fatal error, and it becomes your greatest advantage. Silence is not the absence of power. It is power in its purest form. When you master the art of strategic silence, you transform every conversation into an interrogation where others reveal their weaknesses while you reveal nothing. You become a black hole of information, absorbing everything while giving nothing back. People will fill your silence with their secrets, their fears, their desires, their plans, never realizing they are handing you the keys to their psychological kingdom. Watch how people react when you refuse to fill the uncomfortable pause. They will stumble over themselves to explain, to elaborate, to win your approval. In that moment of discomfort, their mask slips. Their carefully constructed facade crumbles, and you see them as they truly are. Insecure, desperate for validation, willing to surrender their advantage for the simple comfort of hearing their own voice. But your silence must be intentional, not accidental. There is a difference between the silence of the weak who have nothing to say and the silence of the strong who choose not to speak. Your silence should carry weight, presence, authority. It should make others lean forward, not dismiss you as irrelevant. This is achieved through your posture, your eye contact, your complete attention to what is being said. You are not absent from the conversation. You are its gravitational center. When you do speak, your words carry exponentially more power because they have been earned through patience. People hang on every syllable because they have been waiting for it. You have created artificial scarcity around your thoughts, and scarcity breeds value. One sentence from you becomes worth more than 1,000 words from someone who never stops talking. This law extends beyond individual conversations into group dynamics. In meetings, social gatherings, any situation where multiple people compete for attention, the one who speaks least often wields the most influence. Others perform for your approval, trying to impress the mysterious figure who watches and judges but rarely reveals their hand. You become the unofficial leader not through self-promotion, but through strategic withdrawal. Yet silence alone is not enough, for once you have learned to control the flow of information, you must learn to control the flow of the interaction itself. This brings us to the second law, one that separates the amateur manipulators from the true masters of social dynamics. Most people react to social situations. They respond to whatever energy others bring, whatever topics others introduce, whatever mood others establish. They are passengers in their own social lives, carried along by currents they do not understand and cannot control. But you must never be reactive. You must always be the one who sets the tone, who establishes the rules, who determines what game is being played and how it will be won. Think of social situations as theaters where most people are actors reading from scripts they did not write. but you are the director, invisible to the audience but controlling every scene. You decide the pace of conversations, the topics that are explored, the emotional temperature of the room. This is not done through force or obvious manipulation, but through subtle influence that others mistake for natural flow. When you enter any social environment, you must immediately assess the power dynamics at play. Who is trying to impress whom? What insecurities are driving the interactions? What does each person need to feel important, validated, superior? Once you understand these psychological currents, you can redirect them to serve your purposes. If someone is desperate for attention, you control them by giving or withholding that attention strategically. If someone needs to feel intelligent, you can guide the conversation toward topics where they can display their knowledge, making them grateful for the opportunity you have provided. If someone is insecure about their status, you can subtly elevate them in front of others, creating a debt of gratitude they may not even consciously recognize. The key is to make others feel like they are getting what they want while you are actually getting what you need. They leave the interaction feeling satisfied, even energized, never realizing that every moment was orchestrated to serve your agenda. This is the difference between crude manipulation, which others can detect and resist, and elegant influence, which feels like natural chemistry. You must also learn to redirect conversations that do not serve you. When someone tries to put you on the defensive, you do not defend, you redirect. When someone attempts to make you the subject of scrutiny, you turn the spotlight back on them or onto a neutral topic. When someone tries to trap you with a question designed to make you look bad regardless of how you answer, you reframe the question itself, exposing the trap while appearing helpful and clarifying. This requires you to think several moves ahead, like a chess master who sees not just the current position, but the positions that will emerge from each possible move. While others are focused on winning the current exchange, you are focused on winning the entire game. While they fight battles, you win wars, but controlling the frame is only the beginning. True social dominance requires you to understand something most people never learn, something that transforms you from someone who merely participates in social hierarchies into someone who creates and controls them. This is the third law, and it cuts to the very heart of human psychology. Every person you meet is driven by a deep, often unconscious need to feel important, to feel special, to feel like they matter in a world that constantly reminds them of their insignificance. This need is so powerful that it overrides logic, self-interest, even survival instincts. It is the psychological equivalent of hunger, and like hunger, it makes people do desperate things to satisfy it. Most people try to feel important by talking about themselves, by displaying their achievements, by demanding recognition for their contributions. They compete directly for the limited supply of attention and validation available in any social situation. But this approach is crude and transparent. Others can see the neediness behind it, and neediness repels rather than attracts respect. You must take the opposite approach. You must become the source of importance for others, the one who has the power to make them feel special or ordinary, significant or invisible. When you control someone's sense of importance, you control them completely, and they will thank you for it. This is achieved through strategic validation and strategic withdrawal of validation. You learn to read what each person needs to feel important, then you provide it in carefully measured doses. For the intellectual, you acknowledge their cleverness. For the leader, you recognize their authority. For the helper, you appreciate their contributions. But you do this selectively, creating a pattern where your approval becomes something to be earned rather than something freely given. The person who craves recognition for their expertise receives it only when they provide you with useful information. The person who needs to feel like a leader gets that validation only when they make decisions that benefit you. The person who wants to be seen as helpful gets acknowledgement only when they actually help you achieve your goals. You have turned their psychological needs into a reward system that serves your interests. But the true mastery lies in making this feel natural and genuine. People must believe that your validation comes from authentic appreciation, not calculated manipulation. This requires you to find something genuinely impressive about each person, some quality or achievement that you can honestly acknowledge. The manipulation is not in false praise, but in the strategic timing and distribution of genuine praise. When someone receives validation from you, they experience a psychological high that they want to repeat. They begin to modify their behavior to earn more of your approval, often without consciously realizing what they are doing. They start to see you as someone with good judgment, someone whose opinion matters, someone they want to impress. In seeking to impress you, they gradually surrender their power to you. The withdrawal of validation is equally powerful. When someone who has grown accustomed to your approval suddenly finds it absent, they experience psychological discomfort that drives them to work harder to regain it. They analyze their recent behavior, wondering what they did wrong, how they can get back into your good graces. This internal focus makes them more malleable, more eager to please, more willing to accept your guidance. You become like a sun around which others orbit, drawn by the warmth of your approval, but never sure when that warmth might be withdrawn. This uncertainty keeps them engaged, keeps them trying, keeps them under your influence even when you are not present. Yet feeding others' need for importance is only one side of the equation. For true social dominance requires you to master something even more fundamental, something that determines not just how others see you, but how they feel when they are around you. This is the fourth law, and it reveals why some people naturally command rooms while others fade into the background, regardless of their achievements or intelligence. Energy is contagious. Whatever emotional state you bring into a social situation spreads to others like a virus, influencing their mood, their behavior, their perception of the entire interaction. Most people are unconscious carriers of whatever emotions they happen to be feeling, spreading anxiety, neediness, frustration, or insecurity without realizing the effect they are having on those around them. But you must be different. You must be the deliberate architect of the emotional environment, consciously choosing what energy to project and how it will shape the dynamics of every interaction. This is not about being fake or suppressing your authentic emotions. This is about understanding that your emotional state is a tool, and like any tool, it should be used strategically to achieve your objectives. The most powerful energy you can project is calm confidence, not the loud, boastful confidence of someone trying to convince others of their worth, but the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows their value and feels no need to prove it. This energy makes others feel safe and drawn to you, because confidence is what everyone wishes they had more of, and being around confident people makes them feel more confident themselves. Calm confidence is demonstrated through your posture, your breathing, your tone of voice, your reaction to stress or conflict. When others are agitated, you remain centered. When others are rushing, you move deliberately. When others are raising their voices, you lower yours. This contrast makes you appear to be operating from a higher level of consciousness, someone who has access to resources and perspectives that others lack. People naturally defer to those who seem to have their emotions under control, who appear unruffled by the chaos that disturbs everyone else. They assume that such composure comes from superior knowledge, experience, or capability. They want to understand your secret, to learn from your example, to bask in the stability you provide in an unstable world. But you must also learn to read and respond to the energy of others. When someone is anxious, you can either amplify that anxiety through your own nervousness or dissolve it through your calm presence. When someone is excited, you can either match their excitement to build rapport or remain measured to maintain your position as the stable center. When someone is angry, you can either escalate the conflict or defuse it through your refusal to be drawn into their emotional state. This ability to remain emotionally independent while influencing the emotions of others gives you tremendous power in social situations. You become like a thermostat rather than a thermometer, setting the emotional temperature rather than merely reflecting it. Others find themselves matching your energy without understanding why, following your emotional lead because it feels better than the chaotic internal states they were experiencing before. The mastery of emotional energy also allows you to create specific atmospheres that serve your purposes. If you need others to be creative and open, you project curiosity and enthusiasm. If you need them to be serious and focused, you project gravity and intensity. If you need them to be relaxed and trusting, you project warmth and ease. You become a master of emotional alchemy, transforming the psychological raw materials of any situation into whatever serves your agenda. Yet controlling energy and emotions is only the beginning of true social mastery. For there comes a moment in every interaction where someone must make a decision, where the balance of power shifts, where influence becomes action. This is where the fifth law reveals itself, showing you how to guide others toward the choices you want them to make, while making them feel like they are the ones in control. The human mind has a peculiar relationship with choice. People desperately want to feel like they are making their own decisions, that they are autonomous agents directing their own lives. Yet they are also overwhelmed by too many options and secretly grateful when someone helps them navigate toward the right choice. This psychological tension creates an opportunity for those who understand how to exploit it. Most people try to influence others through direct persuasion, laying out logical arguments for why their preferred option is best. But logic is not what drives human decision-making. People make choices based on emotion, then use logic to justify those choices after the fact. If you want to influence someone's decision, you must influence their emotional experience of the available options. This is achieved through the strategic presentation of choices. You do not tell people what to do. You create a situation where what you want them to do feels like the obvious, natural, beneficial choice for them to make. You guide their decision-making process by controlling what options they consider, how those options are framed, and what emotions they associate with each possibility. The simplest version of this is the false choice, where you present 2 or 3 options that all serve your interests, allowing the other person to feel autonomous while ensuring that any choice they make benefits you. But the more sophisticated approach is to understand what the other person truly wants and then position your preferred outcome as the best way for them to achieve their desires. If someone wants to feel important, you show them how your preferred choice will enhance their status. If someone wants to avoid risk, you emphasize the safety of the option you prefer while highlighting the dangers of alternatives. If someone wants to be seen as smart, you frame your preferred choice as the clever, insightful decision that lesser minds might miss. You must also learn to plant seeds of ideas that will grow into decisions over time. Rather than pushing for immediate commitment, you introduce concepts casually, allowing others to think they discovered these ideas on their own. When they later propose the very course of action you wanted them to take, they feel creative and decisive rather than manipulated. The timing of influence is crucial. People are most susceptible to guidance when they are uncertain, when they are facing unfamiliar situations, when they are experiencing stress or time pressure. In these moments, your calm confidence and clear direction become anchors they gratefully cling to. You provide structure in chaos, certainty in confusion, and they reward you by following your lead. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of guided choice is that it creates genuine buy-in. When people feel like they made a decision themselves, they are committed to making it work. They invest their ego in the success of the choice, becoming partners in achieving the outcome you desired rather than reluctant participants in your scheme. However, all of these techniques for social influence depend on one crucial factor that most people never master: something that determines whether your attempts at persuasion are welcomed or resisted, whether others see you as helpful or manipulative. This is the 6th law, and it reveals the secret that separates amateur influence from professional-level social mastery. Trust is the currency of influence. Without it, every attempt at persuasion is met with resistance, every suggestion is viewed with suspicion, every interaction becomes a battle rather than a collaboration. But trust is not built through grand gestures or explicit promises. It is constructed through 1,000 small demonstrations of reliability, competence, and genuine care for the other person's interests. Most people try to build trust by talking about their integrity, their track record, their good intentions. But trust is not built through words. It is built through consistent patterns of behavior that demonstrate your trustworthiness over time. Others must see evidence that you are who you claim to be, that you deliver on your commitments, that you can be relied upon when it matters. This begins with small things. You arrive when you say you will arrive. You follow through on minor commitments. You remember details that others share with you. You provide value without being asked. These seemingly insignificant actions create a foundation of reliability that supports larger influence attempts later. But trust is not just about reliability. It is also about competence. People must believe that you have the knowledge, skills, and judgment necessary to guide them effectively. This is demonstrated through your questions, which show the depth of your understanding, your insights, which reveal your ability to see patterns others miss, and your results, which prove that your advice leads to positive outcomes. The most sophisticated element of trust building is demonstrating genuine care for the other person's interests, even when those interests might conflict with your own immediate desires. This seems counterintuitive, but it is actually the most powerful investment you can make in long-term influence. When you occasionally advise someone against a course of action that would benefit you but harm them, you establish yourself as someone who can be trusted to put their interests first. This does not mean you become selfless or stop pursuing your own agenda. It means you take a longer view, understanding that short-term sacrifices in service of the other person's interests create long-term advantages in your ability to influence their decisions. When someone trusts that you genuinely care about their welfare, they become much more receptive to your guidance, even when that guidance serves your purposes. Trust also requires you to be selectively vulnerable, sharing appropriate personal information that humanizes you without compromising your position. People trust those who trust them, and strategic self-disclosure creates reciprocal intimacy that strengthens your influence. But this vulnerability must be calculated, revealing weaknesses that make you relatable without exposing weaknesses that make you exploitable. The maintenance of trust requires constant attention. One broken promise, one moment of putting your interests obviously ahead of theirs, one demonstration of incompetence or unreliability can destroy months or years of trust building. This is why trust-based influence is both the most powerful and the most demanding approach to social mastery. Yet even with perfect trust, even with flawless execution of all these techniques, there will come moments when direct influence is not enough. There will be situations where others are too invested in their current course, too suspicious of change, too resistant to guidance. This is when you must deploy the seventh and most advanced law, the one that transforms you from someone who influences social situations into someone who architects them. The highest level of social mastery is not about winning individual interactions or influencing specific decisions. It is about creating systems and environments where the outcomes you desire emerge naturally from the choices others make freely. You become like a landscape architect, shaping the terrain so that water flows where you want it to go without forcing it in any particular direction. This requires you to think in terms of incentives and consequences rather than persuasion and resistance. Instead of trying to change people's minds, you change their circumstances so that the rational choice becomes the choice you prefer. Instead of fighting against human nature, you harness human nature to serve your objectives. Consider how the most successful leaders throughout history have achieved lasting change. They did not simply issue orders or make compelling arguments. They created conditions where following their vision became the path of least resistance, where opposing their agenda became costly and supporting it became rewarding. You must learn to see the invisible forces that shape social dynamics. What does each person fear losing? What do they hope to gain? What social pressures influence their behavior? What would make them look good or bad in the eyes of others they care about? Once you understand these underlying motivations, you can structure situations so that these forces naturally push people toward the decisions you want them to make. This might involve changing who is present during important conversations, knowing that certain people's presence will influence how others behave. It might involve controlling the timing of decisions, understanding that people make different choices when they are rushed versus when they have time to deliberate. It might involve managing the flow of information, ensuring that people have the context they need to make good decisions, while protecting them from information that might lead them astray. The most sophisticated practitioners of this law become masters of social architecture, designing group dynamics that naturally produce the outcomes they desire. They understand how to structure meetings so that their preferred ideas emerge as group consensus. They know how to position themselves within social networks to maximize their influence while minimizing their visibility. They can predict how changes in one part of a social system will ripple through to affect other parts. This level of mastery requires patience and long-term thinking. You are not trying to win today's battle, but to position yourself to win tomorrow's war. You are not seeking immediate gratification, but building sustainable advantages that will serve you for years to come. You become like a grandmaster playing chess against opponents who do not even realize a game is being played. But perhaps the most important aspect of this final law is that it transforms your relationship with power itself. You no longer need to grasp for control or fight for dominance. Power flows to you naturally because you have created conditions where others benefit from empowering you. You become indispensable not through force or manipulation, but through your unique ability to create value for everyone around you while serving your own interests. The mastery of these 7 laws transforms you from someone who hopes for favorable social outcomes into someone who creates them. You move through social situations with the confidence of someone who understands the hidden rules of human interaction, who can read the psychological currents that others do not even know exist, who can influence outcomes without anyone realizing they have been influenced. But remember this above all else: these tools are not toys to be played with carelessly. They are weapons that can destroy relationships, careers, and lives if used without wisdom and restraint. The goal is not to become a predator who feeds on others, but to become someone who cannot be preyed upon, someone who can protect themselves and those they care about from those who would exploit their naivety. The world is full of people who will try to manipulate you, who will attempt to use your good nature against you, who will seek to advance their interests at your expense. These 7 laws are your defense against such people, your way of ensuring that you are never again the victim of someone else's agenda. Use them wisely, use them ethically, but most importantly, use them effectively. For in a world where power determines outcomes, those who understand power are the only ones who can truly protect themselves and create the lives they desire. The choice is yours. You can continue to stumble through social situations, hoping that good intentions will protect you from those who see the world as a battlefield. Or you can master these laws, develop these skills, and take control of your social destiny. The masters of social dynamics are not born. They are forged through understanding, practice, and the wisdom to know when and how to deploy their capabilities. Today, you have been given the blueprint. What you build with it is entirely up to you.